Hi there, I'm Pam Carr, and today I'm going to show you how to make these crossbody granny square bags that have a flap that opens. You can put things inside and shut it. You can line it if you want to, but I haven't lined these. There's one multicolored one, and there's one made out of yellow and white. They have a nice strap on them, and they can either go over your shoulder or you can wear them across your body. You could even tie them around your waist as a belt if you wanted to use them as a kind of pocket. People have come up with all kinds of ideas that they could use it for things that don't have pockets, so they can carry their phone, or you can put water bottles in it, all kinds of different things. So I'm going to show you how to make a granny square crossbody bag today. So what we're going to need to make our granny squares are a number 4 worsted weight yarn. I'm using some of my stash here, so I've got different kinds of yarn. I've got some loops and threads yarn here. I've got a Red Heart Super Saver type of yarn. I've got a Bravo yarn. So there's all kinds of yarns that you can use as long as they're 4 worsted weight, or in England or other countries that don't use worsted weight, you can say Aran, okay? And then we need an H hook, which is a 5mm crochet hook, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. So I've just got this little pair of scissors. These were actually bought for my dogs because they've got a blunt end. But anyway, they like them on the airplane. They let me take them on the airplane. So those are the ones I take with me. Okay, so that's what we need to get going. Oh, and you'll need a yarn needle for weaving in all the ends. This is the yarn needle I tend to use. It's got a nice bent end that makes it easy for weaving in the ends, and a nice big eye to get your yarn through. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to make a slip knot. I do have a video showing you how to crochet. It's called version 1, session 1, and it shows you how to make a slip knot if you want to go find that for a more detailed explanation. But what I do is I wrap the yarn around my finger twice. I saw this on YouTube. And take your finger behind there and you can pinch it, and so it holds it down. Then the first loop has to go over but not off your finger, and then the second loop goes off your finger, and you put your hook in, and voila, you have a slip knot. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do have a video explaining this. It's the first one of my how to crochet videos. So, and then we're going to take our hook and we're going to go into the first chain, and we're going to slip stitch, which means we put the yarn over, we pull it through, and we pull it through, and that creates a little ring. It's a very tight ring because we don't want a big loop in the middle of our granny square. Okay, then we're going to chain 3. 1, I've put my thumb there just to find, so I know where the loop is. 1, 2, 3, and this is going to count as our first double crochet of our very first cluster. Now when you're making granny squares, you're making clusters of 3 double crochet stitches. I'll show you here. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to make this first cluster of 3 stitches. So we chain 3, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the center. Then we're going to do some chains and make our second cluster. So when people refer to a cluster or a shell, that's another word they use, it's where you have a group of stitches all made into the same stitch, okay? So we're going to do 2 double crochets into this little hole in the middle here. 1, don't forget, yarn over into the center, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to chain 3 because this is going to be our corner. Now I have to explain, some granny squares you chain 2, some you chain 3. For this bag we're going to be chaining 3 on the corner. Okay, now we're going to make 3 more double crochets. So yarn over into that same space, pull through 2, pull through 2, that's 1, 2, 3. and we're going to chain 3 for our next corner. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to make 3 double crochets in that hole. It's quite obvious now where the hole is. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 3 to make our next corner. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to make another cluster of 3 double crochet in the middle. 1, 2, 3, and chain 3. And now we're going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3. 1, 2, 3, there it is. Put your hook through, yarn over, pull it through, and pull it through. And that is our center of our granny square. So I'm going to cut that yarn and pull it through, and we're going to be weaving that end in later. That's one of people's main complaints. I'm going to pull that thread and see it tightens up my center. Okay, it's not as tight as a magic circle, but I'm not going into a magic circle on this tutorial. Okay, so we've got our center, so I'm going to find my new color. And now we're going to join our color. So I'm going to make a slip stitch. And I'm going to stick my hook through a corner, pick up my slip stitch, pull it through, and just make a chain. We're actually going to have to make 3 chains. 1, oops, make sure I've got the right yarn here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to do 2 more double crochet into this same corner space. 1, 2. So with our chain 3 at the beginning and the 2 that we've done, that is going to be 1/2 of the corner. This is my preferred way to do it. Not everyone does it. Some people have you slip stitching across and different things, but for my granny squares that I'm doing for this bag, this is how I'm doing it, okay? So we've made 2 double crochet into that space. We've got the corner completed, and we're going to chain 1. Once again, some of my projects I don't chain 1 in between, but I do chain 1 in this one. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets into that corner. 1, 2, 3. I guess what I'm trying to say is that all granny squares are not the same. There is no real true way to make a granny square. They get adapted, and it's kind of confusing when you're a beginner and you just want to know the right way to make a granny square. But this is a true thing that some people chain 2, some people chain 3 in the corners. All of them are different, right? So for this one, if you want to make the bag the way I made it, make my granny squares. But if you have your preferred way of making granny squares, just make yourself 3 granny squares, okay? 1, 2, 3 chains, and then 3 double crochet, and chain 1, 3 double crochet in the next corner, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochet into the corner, chain 1, and then we're back in, we're into the next corner. 1, 2, this is our 3rd corner, 3, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to 3 double crochet cluster, 1, This is where we finished off our first round. That's what we've got this bit of yarn here for, but we'll be weaving that in later, so don't worry about it. So there we go, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go into the beginning of our first corner, and we're going to chain 3, do 3 double crochets, sorry, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first chain 3. That's the way I like to do my corners. And then we don't have to be doing any slip stitching across. Okay, so you fasten that off. And the next one we can start in any of our corners. We can just start any of the corners that we want to do. So here we're going to use this nice green. I'm going to make a slip knot. And then I'm going to stick my hook through the corner and then into the slip knot. That's kind of the easiest way to do that. You might have a different way you like to change your colors. 1, 2, 3, and 2 more double crochets. Oops, I hope I'm on camera. 1, 2 more double crochets. Okay, now we're going to chain 1. Remember, we'll only make half of the corner in the first one, okay? Now we chain 1, and we'll see this nice space here where we did the chain 1 in the previous row. We're going to go in there and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1. Now we're going to go into this second corner here. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go into that space between the 2 clusters where we did a chain 1 in the previous round. Do 3, and we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do a 3 cluster, chain 3, and a 3 cluster for the corners. All our corners are going to be a cluster of 3, chain 3, and another cluster of 3. So remember that, because I'm going to be getting you to go off and do your own corners soon. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, go into that space between, and each round that we do, there'll be extra spaces on the sides because we're getting bigger every round, okay? Chain 1 in the corner, 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. Chain 1, go into the space, 1, 2, 3, and remember you can always stop the video and go back if I'm going too fast. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and then what are we going to do? We're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. To join our 2 clusters there, and we have our 1, 2, 3rd round. Look at that. So for the next rounds, I'm not going to show you all the way around because it just can get a bit boring, and also it makes a video really long for sharing. Okay, so we're going to choose our next color. Let's go with this nice pumpkin-y orange. Okay, so this is going to be our 1, 2, 3, 4th round. Altogether, I think on this one we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. and then we can start sewing them together. So I'm going to stick my hook through. This might be easier to do it this way. There we go. There we go. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and do 2 more double crochets, 2 double crochets. Our chain 3 always acts as our very first one. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go into the space and do a cluster of 3, 1, or shell, you can call them shells. And then chain 1, do another cluster, 2, 3, chain 1, and then we do our corner, which is 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then remember, when you're going across, you chain 1 in between each of these clusters going across your rows. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 into the next one, 3, chain 1, and we're going to go into the corner and do 3 clusters, a cluster of 3, 3 double crochet cluster there, and then we're going to chain 3 and then do 3 more double crochets. I'm going to let you go around this row on your own, and I'll meet you back at the end. So here we are at the end. We've done the half of the corner, then 1, 2 clusters, and then a corner, 1, 2 clusters, a corner, 1, 2 clusters, a corner, 1, 2 clusters, and we're going to finish off the final corner. So I've chained 1, we're going to go 3 double crochet into here, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that we did at the very beginning. Flip through. There we go. Okay, so that's our 1, 2, 3, 4th round. Okay, so we're going to do our last round. So for this last round, I'm going to use this nice bright orange. I think this would be a lovely way to finish it off. And then this would also be the orange that will be the strap and all of that kind of stuff. So it's all the fancy stuff. So I'm actually poking this hook through just to make it easier for you. And then I'm going to make my slip knot there and feed it onto the hook already placed through there, and that makes it kind of easier than making the slip knot. There. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and once again 2 double crochets to make the first half of this corner. Now what are we going to do to go across here? I'm going to chain 1 and do a 3 double crochet cluster in the space, right? So we're going to skip the first cluster of 3 there, and we're going to go into the space and do 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to go into the next one. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain 1 into the next space. You notice with granny squares they're magical. They get longer each side as we go up. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and then make your corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 2, 3. And then we start to chain 1 and do the clusters into each space across until you get to the corner. Okay, so I'll see you back. So here we are at the end. I've done my 3 cluster. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go into the top of the chain 3, join it with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, pull it through, and we have our granny square with 5 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our granny square. So what we have to do, and I'm going to show you now how to weave in the ends, because we're going to be making 2 more of these granny squares, because how the bag is formed is you have a granny square at the front, a granny square at the back, and then your granny square flap. So you're going to have to make 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rowed granny squares, okay? So I'll show you how you can weave in the end. So I've got my yarn needle. I'm going to start at the top corner. You can start wherever you want. And you see, this is a thing a lot of people hate about granny squares. I find it quite meditative, so it doesn't bother me so much. But you start to put your needle in and out. Into the stitches and out of the stitches. And you can run it across there. Right. And then you always want to go 2 or 3 different directions, just in case, because you don't want these to pull out and look ugly. So I'm going to go back up here and maybe go across under these stitches here. Okay. You want to do it at least 3 times. If you want to be super duper careful, you can do it 5 times or however many times you like. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next one. The next one's here. As I say, you can start in the middle, and this is something you can do while you're watching television or just relaxing. Just up and down, like sort of like weaving the yarn. That's why they say weave in the ends sometimes, you know. Finish off and weave in the ends, okay? So you're going to be doing that for all of these. Cut them nice and close so that there's no snagging in the back of your bag, okay? So that's what you're going to do for all of these ends. Also, a tip for when you're using thread in a needle is to fold it over double like that, and then pinch it, and then you can feed it through your needle much easier than trying to thread it like a piece of yarn. Well, I actually do that with yarn as well. I like to thread it back into the color that it's come from. That way it's not going to show up. It wants to be kind of invisible. Okay, so weave in all your ends, and then when you're finished, come back. You can go back to the beginning of the video if you need some help on how to get started with your granny square, and you need to make 2 more, so we have 3. Okay, so this is what it looks like when they're all done. You see the stitches are all woven in. I've made 3, and they all look complete. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 and we are going to put them with the wrong sides facing. So that's the wrong side, and this is the wrong side. So we're going to put the wrong sides facing like this. And then we're going to get the yarn. I'm going to use some more of the orange and thread the needle. So I'm going to take one corner and hold them together, and because there's 3 chains in between, we will find the middle chain of 1 and 1, 2, 3. So we'll go the middle chain of this one and we'll thread the needle through. I've made it quite long. And I'm going to tie a knot there, and we can weave that in later, but this just stops us losing our place, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to do what they call a whip stitch, and see how I'm going to find that stitch there, and on the other side I'm going to match it. And that's our first stitch. Okay, so if you look at it from the top, it's kind of a good way to look at it. I kind of hold it together like this, and I'm going to find the next stitch and the next stitch, thread the, just going through what is actually the back and the back of the other side. I'm going to pull it through. Whip stitches when you keep going over top and over top and over top. Pull that through. Get rid of that one. It'll disappear as we go down. And you'll see we're here, so that kind of gives us a guide, holding our fingers through there. So we're going to go into this one, and then into that one on the other side. Hopefully you can see. Oops, sorry, I hit my camera. Sorry. Okay, there we're going again in the back, and then the back. And we're going to go all the way down to the corner like this, okay? So just going into each stitch and matching it with the stitch on the other side. Here we are at that corner, and we're going to go across the bottom, okay? Sorry, I'm manipulating my piece. So we've sewn down the side, and now we're going to go across the bottom, doing the same thing, feeding into each stitch. You can actually go through a few at a time if you want to make it a little bit faster. Okay, I'm going to go through 3 stitches here, and then just pull. It makes it a little bit faster, okay? Get my needle, and here we are. See how they're matching up? And we're going into each of the back of this stitch and the back of the other side, all the way down to the next corner. Okay, so we've gone around that corner, and now we're heading up this side. See how all of these edges match, and all the stitches. It makes nice little ribbing because you're going into the back of the stitch and then into the opposite side. It's the first one you come to, but it's actually the back of that stitch, okay? So we're going to carry on down this side, doing exactly the same thing. Right to the back of this one, and it will be the back of this one, but it's the first one you come to, okay? And when you get to the end, just make sure that you're going into the middle of the 3 chains that form the corner at the front and the middle one at the back. So that takes you exactly to that corner, and then we're going to go in there a couple of times to make sure that it's really going to be strong, because this is going to be a pressure point for you with your bag when you keep opening it and shutting it. So you want to make sure that it's nice and tight. Okay, that's that part. Now we have our bag, and the right sides are both facing out. You can see that, the way the stitches are and the way the edging is, okay? So the right sides are both facing out. And now what we want to do is we want to get our 3rd square and find the right side. And you can find the right side by seeing this edge here. This is telling us this is the right side. If you look at the back, you see it curls down, so that's the wrong side. So this is the right side, and we want to lay this right side on top of this. So now the right side of this is facing the right side of the flap, because this is going to flap over, okay? So now we want to attach this to the body. And now we're going to be attaching this. So I'm going to take this yarn, see we've got this yarn left over. I'm going to find the middle of the 3 chains. We've got 1, 2, 3 chains. So I'm going to find the middle one, put my yarn through there, and we're not going to go through both. We're just going to go through the one section, okay? We're going to go through where we've been doing those stitches to secure it. We've repeated and gone in and out to make it nice and strong. And that's going to attach that there. Now you see I can put my finger through this space. We are going to attach, now we're going to go through the back of the stitch here. And we're going to go, we could go into the top. We'll go into the top of this. So we're going to go in this stitch and in this stitch. We're going to go across into each of these stitches. It's easier if you look at it from the top sometimes. There's a stitch and there's a stitch. We're going to match our stitches all the way down. Okay, here's a stitch, and there's a stitch. So match your stitches as you go down. Always you can double check. This should be like 3, like 1, 2, and 3. Right? Pull it through. So that eventually, when we're done, we can flop that right over. But I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end. I've got my fingers into this final corner here. So we're just going to go into this one at the front, that one at the back, and this one at the front, this one at the back. And then go right into that corner where we're going to join it in where that first stitch was made, where we've got that bit of yarn sticking out there. And we can go in 2 or 3 times. We could also tie it there with a knot. Tie it with a knot. Makes it super strong, okay? And those ends will be woven in. I'll cut that off. I have my scissors here, they're hidden. Okay, now you flop that over, and that's our bag. You see how nice the top looks when you do the stitching that way, and how nice the sides all look when they're joined with that technique. Simple whip stitch. So now we have to make ourselves our strap. I'm actually going to weave in these ends. I'm going to do them together before I start the strap. And that will all look pretty when it's all done. So when you're doing this part, you can just go in and out down this side here. There, that looks nice, okay? Now I'm going to start with the strap. So for the strap, I made a slip knot, and I'm going to be chaining 140. Now, you can check the length for yourself. The one that I made that you saw, if you saw my video on Instagram, this strap was made with 140 chains, okay? You can make it longer by adding more chains, or shorter by making less chains. And I did have somebody suggest that this would be really a great pattern to use as a pocket when you don't have pockets, as a crossbody bag. But I was thinking you could even make your strap so that it can tie on, like make 2 different shorter straps that will tie around your waist, and then the pocket would actually sit. You could put it to the side and just have it hanging there as a bag that goes around your waist. It's not really a fanny pack, but it would be kind of cute for holding your purse or cards or your phone. So now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain from the hook, and this is the second chain. So we're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to single crochet. That's where you just put your hook in, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull through the 2. So that's a single crochet. I do have a video showing you how to do the single crochet in my How to Crochet series. But this should be, if you're done these stitches, and this is easy. So you're just going to single crochet all the way down the chain, okay? I'm doing it up in the air so you can see. So this is what it looks like when we've got the row of single crochet all the way down the chain. So that's our strap, okay? So I'm going to cut that and fasten it off. And what I like to do is just tie those 2 ends together, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. And now what I did on my other bag, you can see here, is I just stitched the strap right on to the end, the joining where it joins on either side. So you can see that right there. I've sewn it on either end. But while I was making this, we came up with that idea of maybe having something that you could thread, tie around your waist as an extra pocket. So what I'm going to do is try this. I've never done this before, but I'm going to try threading it in the back, not the flap part, in the back section. I'm going up between each of those granny stripe squares and then coming out the other end. So I'm going to thread that through, and then when you fold it over, you see how the flap is this strap, sorry, is coming out the back section, not the front, not the flap section, okay? And then the idea is with this, it looks to be a pretty good length to do this with, is you could use these ends to tie this on around the waist and have it as a pocket that you could have, just have it to the side, slightly in front at the side, or wherever you want to put it actually. It could be right on the side over the hip, and it makes a little pocket. I like it. And normally, as I say, I would be sewing these ends to here, and that would make your crossbody strap there. Just stitch it several times through so that it doesn't come off. It's nice and tight. And that's your granny square crossbody bag or shoulder bag. You can wear it over your shoulder if you like. And you can even make it into a pocket by threading it through the back like that, in and out of those spaces. Kind of like that idea. I'm going to get some pictures taken with it like that. Anyway, I hope you like it. The thing with creativity and crochet is they go together so well. You can just come up with your own ideas. And as I say, be brave and do lots of exploring. And if you have an idea, try it out and see if it works. Okay. Thank you. I'm Pam Carr, Caraway Crochet. Please subscribe to my channel. And I have some other videos. I'm going to link to my other videos below that have granny squares in them. And also this pattern is going to be on Etsy, and I will put a coupon for a reduced price on it in the description below. So if you choose to buy it from Etsy, you'll get 30% off. Okay, thanks. Bye.